It's on. Welcome.
I'd like these comments entered into the record. I'm Monica J. I have dealt with politicians, the public, and the question of voter fraud for close to 28 years. Ever since I moved to this area, I have voted in the elections except for the very first one because it was coming upon me moving here. Because way back when, we had an ordinance that if you just move to this area, you can't vote, which I think is fantastic because you need to find out about the areas you're living in. You need to find out about the people. You need to see if they align with your political opinions. Since the overhead doesn't really capture this, let me give a quote. As so many are complaining about taxpayer dollars going towards election integrity. In December, Commissioner Von Hartung said the board was spending money like drunken sailors when they approved $40 million in funds for local projects, including $26 million for the Nevada Cares campus. I'm a Nevada taxpayer. I want my tax dollars to go to election integrity. Now, I know Mr. Beatles personally. He's not up here spreading lies. I know Jeannie Herman personally. She's not up here spreading lies. You want to talk about lies? How about Hunter Biden's laptop is Russian disinformation?
Please.
How about...
Please.
Yes, come on.
Please.
How about the fact that there was Russian collusion with Donald Trump?
Stay on the.
We just keep... I am. Pay attention and listen to what I'm saying.
I am listening.
We keep hearing that these things are fake. We keep hearing that these things are disinformation, lies, and yet later down the line, we prove them to be facts. Nye County, Lander County, both changing their election process because they know there was fraud. You work for we the people. I'm not speaking for any people in here because they can speak for themselves. They have a voice. I'm speaking for the hardworking men and women who couldn't be here today, who are demanding election integrity. Now, do I think this is perfect? No, I don't. Because as any bill that goes before any voting populace, it should be broken down. This should not be a yay or nay vote. You should vote on individual items. And the biggest one is voter ID. 80% in a recent poll of Americans want voter ID. That doesn't count for just Republicans. It's Democrats, Independents, Green Party, everybody. It's the least you can do to get voter ID for this county. Make a difference.
Thank you. Please. Please.
Next is Heather
We agreed
Carpenter.
that we weren't going to do that.
Next is Heather Carpenter, followed by Maureen Kane, and then Elvira Diaz.
Hello, my name is Heather Carpenter. I am a registered voter from Sparks, Nevada. The United States is broadly described as a representative democracy. This means that government officials are elected by citizens through a voting process. Elected government officials claim to represent the citizens' ideas and concerns in government affairs and politics, or policies, I should say. However, in practice, this does not appear to be accurate. I am very concerned with such issues as gerrymandering, campaign funding opacity, and disproportionate lobbying power given over to corporate and special interests. However, voter fraud is not something that I am concerned about. Given the major practical issues involved in committing voter fraud, the existing Class C felony status of voter fraud, and the investigations into voter fraud, that have indicated it is attempted by less than 1 in a million registered voters, and seemingly almost exclusively by people who claim to be testing if it was even possible. It does not pose a significant enough threat to the existing voting process to justify the kind of expense that would result from passing election resolution R2228. There is so much more that can be said on the inequality and immorality of such a voter suppression measure, but as others have made this argument far more eloquently than I could, I hope you will heed their comments. I will only add that the fact that I should be forced to attend this meeting in person just so my voice will be given equal consideration by commissioners voting on this measure as those residents who have the privilege to attend a 10 a.m. meeting on a weekday, the privilege to not fear for their lives at the prospect of contracting communicable disease in a closed environment with no masking policy and no proper ventilation, and those who have the privilege to not be as cognitively affected by the kind of intimidation and disruption I've already experienced today. That you do not give equal weight to comments submitted by phone and email in itself violates the right to equal participation in political affairs. Given that this resolution, if passed, will have a significantly higher impact on people with disabilities, it is damning that people are only allowed to request accommodations exactly 24 hours before the meeting when remote attendance can no longer be provided. I ask that Washoe County Commissioners reject Election Resolution R2228 outright, and that the commissioners supporting this resolution resign from any seat of power that would claim to value democracy. For supporting information on why this resolution would be disastrous and any alternative measures that promote voter suppression in government, I would direct you to linktr.ee/biggestlittlevote. I yield my time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next up is Maureen Kane, followed by Elvira Diaz, and then Matthew Funkin.